women in America are increasingly miserable. This is not a wonderful paradise for women. Women don't actually have it all that great in America these days, and it's getting worse and worse. Since second wave feminism over the past 50 or so years, as can be measured by social scientists, women's happiness has declined, both in absolute terms and relative to the happiness of men. They're getting more and more and more miserable. Today, because of the transgender movement, women are losing their ability to use their own bathrooms. Women are losing the ability to compete on their own sports teams. Women are all the awards now are going to men who are pretending to be women. What is the great freedom of women in America? What a lot of liberals would tell you is that women have it so great in America because they have the right to do porn. They have the right to go on OnlyFans.com and sell their bodies like they are just flesh and make some money prostituting themselves. That's one of the women in Iran don't have that right. So that's why it's wrong for Iran to be on the UN Women's Council, but it's good for America to. Women in America, they don't have to deal with the patriarchy of one man loving them for their entire lives and having a stable marriage and a stable building block of society. No, women in America have it much better. They get to be used by men for decades until they're no longer as physically attractive, and then they get to be discarded, and they get to spend the rest of their lives alone working in the widget factory. Isn't that so great? Wow, we need to give lectures to everybody. Maybe not. Maybe actually, can't believe I'm saying this, but maybe some of the feminists who are critical of things like our hookup culture, some of the feminists who are critical of some of the excesses of second wave feminism, maybe some of the conservatives who have been critical of this whole project, maybe they have a point. And maybe we're actually not doing such a great job of taking care of women. The libs and a number of Republicans are trying to draft women into combat right now. This was a major political fight that Josh Hawley probably stopped, but who knows, it's going to come back up again. We're so great to women in America that we are going to send them to be killed by jihadis in the Middle East. That's how great we are. I don't think so. Maybe there's a good opportunity for introspection. I don't know. You're seeing this right now on Jeopardy. A dude just became the woman with the highest overall winnings in Jeopardy history. Women in America are actually put upon enough now that they can't even win the women's awards. Jeopardy contestant Thomas Schneider, who now goes by a woman's name and dresses like a woman and says that he is a woman, he has just earned more money than any female competitor in Jeopardy history. And Larissa Kelly, who previously held the distinction as the woman with the highest all-time winnings, just congratulated Thomas Schneider and said, well, it was fun to hold a Jeopardy record for a few years, but it's been even more fun to watch. Jeopardy set new standards for excellence on the show and off. Congratulations to Amy, that's the name that this man is going by, on becoming the woman with the highest overall earnings in the show's history. This is probably the most painful part for women of this new transgenderist regime, is they have to pretend that this is great. Do you remember when the giant dude on the UPenn women's swimming team beat all the women's records? And then the women would privately say to journalists off the record, anonymously, they would say, or not off the record, but on background, I suppose. And anonymously, they would say, this is terrible, we hate this, but we've all got to applaud because we'll be called haters. So this woman has to say, oh, it's great that the men are taking all the women's stuff. I'm really happy about that. They're setting new standards of excellence. The new standard of excellence, according to feminism and transgenderism, is men. That's the new standard of excellence. And conservatives, I think, are not really serious about stopping this. Right? Conservatives still do things like they'll call men who pretend to be women, they will call them he's a biological male. This person, Amy, they'll use the woman's name. They'll say, Amy Schneider on Jeopardy. This person, they often don't even use the pronouns, is a biological male. As though there were any other kind of male. He's a biological male, but he's a spiritual female. He's a biological male, but he's a psychological, no, he's just a dude. And when you add the modifier biological to male, You are granting the premise that there are different types of male and female, and that some male are they can also be female. Or no, I don't think conservatives have the chutzpah to stop this. Because in order to stop this stuff, it's not enough to repudiate only the weird sex aspect, the fact that obviously men are not women and women are not men and they can't become one another. You also have to repudiate individualism. You also have to repudiate the excesses of 20th century libertarianism. You also have to repudiate the idea that, Anthony Kennedy said this in the Planned Parenthood v. Casey decision, that man has the right to create his own concept of existence. You also have to repudiate the idea that we can do whatever we want to do so long as it doesn't hurt other people, which is a dubious concept to begin with, because when you have a society doing all sorts of terrible things, that is going to affect other people because we live in a society together. Because man is the political and social animal, and politics in general is just what we all do together. So yeah, you're going to have to repudiate that. Are you willing to? Are you willing to say, no, you can't mutilate yourself and get the surgery? No, you can't pretend to be a woman, even in the confines of your own home. You can't, because that is necessary. If you're a woman in your own home, you're a woman in public, and we're all going to have to acknowledge that. Live and let live. You do you. You do you, I'll do me. It doesn't work in a society. It just leads to social breakdown. And it leads to social breakdown just as surely when the conservatives do it as when the libs do it. And we're in this moment now where we're seeing massive upheavals of our way of viewing ourselves and our relationship to our government and the way society functions. And we're saying the COVID tyranny has been really at the forefront of that. This is a great time to ask ourselves this question. Are we going to just keep going along in the same process of failure that we've been keeping up for years and years and years? Or is it a new year? Is it a new year and a new us and a new opportunity to chart a course for what we want our country to look like? I'm glad you like that clip. I'm glad that in this new year, still Christmas, in this wonderful Christmas season, you like that clip. Go check out the whole show by ringing the bell, subscribing, heading on over to your favorite audio podcast platform, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play, wherever you get your podcasts. Type in The Michael Knowles Show. It's going to take 2 seconds. Subscribe. That's a Christmas present to yourself. Leave a 5-star review, maybe. We'll see you next time.